Hello, I'm Tony and today we are going to join a very old gang in Peaky Blinders Mastermind, free from Prime Gaming until the 26th of April 2023. I say old gang because, like the TV series, we're joining a gang that existed back in 1919, 1920. So we're not really going to pose much of a threat nowadays. Our gang has 6 members which are all from the TV series, which I haven't seen, and they've all got their own specific skills that they contribute to the various criminal endeavours we're going to carry out. The graphics in Peaky Blinders are split between the story cutscenes and the 3D isometric gameplay. The story sections have painted scenes that don't change very much, and they're overlaid with static portraits for each character that speaks. And they look enough like their TV counterparts that I recognised a couple just from seeing the adverts for the latest episodes on telly. I'm not the biggest fan of the portraits and the screens, if I'm honest. I think I've seen the portraits so much because they appeared during the gameplay section that I got a bit fed up with them always looking the same. They're fine though, they just don't change. The music during the cutscenes is really good. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually came from a TV show. Within the gameplay that we'll dive into shortly, we have a top-down 3D view of early 1900 Birmingham that looks pretty good to me. It doesn't have your newfangled ray trace sunbeams hitting off everything, partly because it doesn't need it, and partly because the chances of bright sunlight in Birmingham are pretty low. It does have a good amount of detail though, which for once is running fine on my low-end gaming PC. It runs well enough on high quality settings to be completely playable. The art style isn't carried over to the game apart from the portrait pictures, but I do prefer the more realistic feel here. Amongst the hustle and bustle noises of the streets there is music, though it's hard enough to make out that half the time I wasn't even aware of it. I think there's too many barking dogs. Gameplay wise, this is a puzzle game where you control multiple characters at the same time, but have the ability to roll back time, allowing you to line up each character's actions to achieve your goals. For example, you might need to get through a door that needs 2 levers activated at the same time, and you have 3 characters. That's not a problem. Run one character up to the first lever with the WASD keys and activate it with the spacebar. Hit control to freeze time, roll it back with Q or jump back with R, and choose the second character by tabbing to them. Hit control to unpause time, then run them up to the second lever, and you can see the first character doing exactly what you told them to at the same time. Hold down the lever on character 2, jump back in time and tab to the third character, and then move them through the now open door, as long as you synchronise all of those actions at the same time. Fine control can be had, and you have an action timeline near the bottom of the screen that allows you to line each character's actions up, which is handy because characters are not necessarily on screen at the same time to see what they're doing. Adding a little complexity to the game, each character has their own ability that will be required on specific levels, and to avoid accidentally not bringing a character you need to a level, you can't select your crew. Each level has a set roster that you have to take. These abilities vary between distracting or bribing coppers, which moves or reduces the standard cone of vision they somehow project from their eyes, which is a real liability when they're on watch. Others can squeeze through small gaps, others can kick down specific doors, and it's up to you to get them to the places they need to be in as efficient a manner as possible. On the standard difficulty mode, there will be a small coloured circle denoting where the character tagged with the same colours should be going. For example, if it's yellow, that means Finn needs to get skates on and go in that direction. If you turn the difficulty up, these disappear, and you'll have to do a bit more investigation or a bit more trial and error to put people in the right places for them to do their things. If mistakes are made, you can simply rewind time and try something else, which erases that mistake. It's quite forgiving in that respect, but not so forgiving with the time allotted for some of the subtasks you have on the level. Each level gives you an overall task to accomplish, like permanently borrowing a bunch of champagne from another game, and it gives you an overall time frame to complete it in. Plus, the timings needed to achieve a gold, silver or bronze rating. On some levels though, you have subtasks that need to be done far faster than this, and will likely need a fair bit of refining of your strategy to accomplish. I'm now on level 9 after about 5 hours of play, and the first thing you need to do on this level is steal a key. And you cannot waste like even half a second of time to make that happen. It's crazy close. This is just one sub goal on that level that has like a 3-minute timer or so. This is a puzzle game that requires a good bit of thinking and also decent motor skill control at times, especially when you're dodging those vision cones. The game really made me search for some solutions, and it increases the complexity of the puzzles as it goes along, even chucking in false routes that just waste your time. I often felt the need to restart levels after I'd explored it a couple of times, once I knew what I was supposed to be doing. Adding in collectible pocket watches for each level gives you something else to think about, and a bit of a distraction and maybe a time waster. It makes achieving gold ratings and collecting them really difficult. I think I only got a perfect once, which is collecting every pocket watch and not being spotted once. There's definitely a challenge to perfectionists that want to achieve the best time possible on every level. Getting all of the watches and gold at the same time is going to take you a while. Personally, the Peaky Blinders tie-in didn't do anything for me, I don't know it. But the game is good enough to stand on its own without a tie-in. It doesn't detract from the game, and it's no doubt good for marketing. The story was enjoyable and pretty well written. It didn't have some of the unnecessary lines games of this type sometimes include, so maybe the tie-in did actually help here, providing a solid framework for the narrative that might even be part of the series for all I know. It's a solid plot. I enjoyed it and the gameplay. The time rewind fast forward mechanic implementation was new to me, and it worked really well here. I definitely found myself going back and trying to shave off a second or two here and there, doing my best to be as efficient as possible. As I've said, I'm now on level 9 and the challenge here is a bit daunting. There's so much to do and time is incredibly tight, and honestly it's putting me off a little bit. I'm clearly becoming a wimp in my old age, or maybe the game isn't quite compelling enough. Either way, the game does work well, I've had fun with it, so it's a recommend from me. Things have gone a little bit pear-shaped around here, so I'm getting out of town for a bit. Don't tell anyone I was here. And also, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.